Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Jocko Willink has an idea that any problem within a business is a leadership problem, and therefore, as the leader, you are responsible for everybody who is subservient to you. All their actions are your responsibility, essentially, and this might be a bit much to handle at first, but of course, you've then also got to note that they are responsible for who is hired, who is fired, and for implementing rules and ensuring that even down to the lowest common denominator, everybody understands why they're doing what they're doing, and therefore they're motivated and enthused to do it. A difficult ask, a tough ask, no doubt, but nonetheless, that is the point. Similar to what Mr. Miyagi said from The Karate Kid, which is, there is no bad student, only a bad teacher. With that in mind, how's that tie into what we're doing today? Well, today, Racial Equality Charity is accused of racism after branding Black Toy Pundit a house Negro in vile tweet in response to him criticizing Black Lives Matter. So this is, again, the same play, but different characters, or different actors, if you will. And it's just important to cover these things to show that it is still contemporary, it is still happening, and it is another example to throw out to say, no, we're not talking about an isolated example, just one instance. Instead, this is large enough to show a trend. So the point of this is that, of course, you have accusations of racism, xenophobia, sexism, and all those other ism buzzwords going along, no doubt. But the worst vitriol is, of course, for people who are viewed as race or sex traitors. So you go with Uncle Tom for a black person and internalized misogyny for a woman, for example. And that is where it seems to be a lot of the worst stuff is aimed at. And it gets so on the nose and so beautiful when it comes from a charity that is supposed to be meant for racial equality. Because we all know that racial equality means push down the white people to try and bring up other people. It's normally black supremacy, but it could be for other ethnicities as well. But the common denominator is pushing down indigenous Brits, no doubt, or white folk if it's not British. So for them to come out, that just exemplifies the point perfectly. And the reason for the preamble at the beginning was that the company responsible says, oh, this is just one user. Yes, they were using our official Twitter account, but they do not reflect the views. We have fired them. They haven't named and shamed them, as you would expect if the shoe was on the other foot, but nonetheless, they have been let go. Is there a change in policies to prevent this from happening again? No. Is there a noted reason as to why this might have been the case and your employee thought this was acceptable? No. So to me, it kind of sounds like, yes, we know this is true, but just don't say it. But yeah, I mean, but be a bit more inconspicuous with your wording, okay? Yeah. So the Race Trust tweeted a vile racist slur at Conservative pundit Calvin Robinson. And of course, when it's a corporation tweeting, it's one individual, and this is just a lowly ranking member who's since been let go. Mr. Robinson had appeared on BBC's The Big Questions to discuss racism in the UK. Following the heated discussion, he was branded a house Negro by the charity. Well, at least by a member of the charity. But, I said at the start, if that's what the leader has permitted and allowed to fester within their organisation, then either they're a very bad leader and should be replaced, or that is what they believe and accept. So what exactly happened? Well, he was saying that he doesn't believe in the leftist narrative of what black people should believe, and he actually goes against it and decides to go where facts and evidence may lead. Good on him. That is definitely something that we can all aspire to if we're not doing it already. So he said, with regards to racism, there has been increasing racism this year. I personally have experienced more racism this year than I have in my entire adult life. That's because of Black Lives Matter and critical race theory being pushed. This idea that there is an appropriate way to be black. For example, I have been called Bounty, Uncle Tom, House Negro, for not having the right opinion. And you can look back through Thomas Sowell's career if you want even more examples of this. But it's not new, it's nothing special. It's nothing unique to him. But, again, it is another example of what is continuously happening. Which is what you would expect when people are viewed on their groups instead of their individual identity. And I know it can be easy to fall into this trap as well, to basically say, oh, well, this person has characteristics which are similar to this group, therefore I understand what they're all about. Which can be useful, and is of course what humans have done for hundreds of thousands of years, but is still fallible. So if you're viewing a group as a group, by all means view them as a group. There's a whole mob psychology about that as well. But if you're viewing an individual from a group, then maybe take note that you are viewing an individual, and you might not even know which groups they belong to. So you got a response saying, oh, terrible, yeah, whenever they clip tweets like this. So, well, who is this person? How much traction did this tweet get? You're not going to show any of this? Well, then it's basically meaningless. Like, you can just create a story out of 7 unknown tweets. If you just spend a couple hours just scrolling through, then you can make your lovely little collage to publish. So I normally just skip through these. So the Trust Responsible, led by Miss Canham, their mission section adds, we hope to facilitate and aid schools and organisations in increasing racial literacy of staff and students. We hope to provide young people with the confidence to achieve their potential in the comfort of their own skin. But again, it's just say the nice things, control the language games in order to then push your narrative. It isn't what they say. They're more concerned about the control of language and power than actually the subject, the detail of what it is that they're saying. So a spokesperson for the Race Trust said, we've investigated the tweet, and subsequently the employee who sent out the tweet is no longer part of our organisation. We accept this was an ill-informed tweet and have taken the appropriate steps to deal with it, hence the delay in our response. Which is what? The tweet was deleted when it came to our attention and therefore has been removed, and the account has been temporarily removed. This was not posted by Aisha Canham or the current employees, and we do not share the same view as the one post. We have apologised, as has Aisha Canham. That's their appropriate response. Wouldn't it be nice to be in that position? It's like, yeah, something happens as part of your organisation. You can just say, oh, they're gone. Who are they? Doesn't matter. They don't reflect our views. We're sorry that happened. Can we move on now? What a lovely world that would be. And I think very often people on the right go, yeah, fair enough, that's reasonable. And yet think that if you're nice to them, they're going to be nice to you in return. And it's worth remembering that their old dictum is, there are no bad tactics, only bad targets. So that's worth remembering. But that's it for me. As I say, it's just kind of rehashing the same old story, just with a new example. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that this is going to happen more and more often? People are going to be aware of this. And then actually call into question exactly why this is happening and what it is that these organisations actually stand for if they treat people with opposing views so badly, even though they say that they're fighting for them. Or do you think, no, this is just going to get memory hold, as is everything else? Speaking of which, what's the latest on Stephen Paddock? But that's it for me. So as always, until next time, have a good one.